Hello, Black South Africa. Hello, Zulu Nation. And now for this one, let me greet the Xhosa and Basotho. I'm just responding perhaps to this Facebook post whereby a Xhosa man is informing us about the crime that is happening in areas of Ceres, Tulbagh, and those areas of the Western Cape. Yeah. So the crimes of Basotho. There was a period of time where like statistics indicated that the most dangerous area in Africa is Lesotho. They don't speak about those matters because they always want to make Zulus the most evil people. So there were stats which showed that the most dangerous area in Africa is Lesotho, where the murder rate was the highest. So I'm seeing even these statistics recently, which are saying a place like Pietermaritzburg is the highest, or is the most dangerous area in Africa or in the world. Imagine Pietermaritzburg is the most dangerous area in the world, just to push the DA narrative of bedeviling and demonizing Zulus. In stats which never get communicated much, Lesotho had the largest or the highest number of murders. All right. Murder rates in Africa at some point. And I said at that stage, growing up in the Free State, I noticed that the Basotho were very easy with the knife. There are things that were not very common for me to see even in Soweto, but which I saw with Basotho, including beating up women as though you are beating or you are kicking a man. It's not a culture we are used to, or rather in other areas of South Africa like KwaZulu Natal. It's not really our culture, but it was common in the Free State. At boarding school, in my boarding school, like in that particular year, there were 2 stabbings, or rather 2 of our fellow scholars were stabbed to death. And our boarding schools were very rough. The treatment for newcomers was hectic. And then in other areas, they would tell you that because there was also this treatment of stamp. So there was this boarding school called Makabelane, and then we heard that they would even use an iron, a hot iron, to stamp you. Okay, so it was rough. It was rough. I was once almost stabbed just for being me. When we went to a boarding school in Sekhutlong, and those guys took out knives, whereas that one targeted me. He said, I saw you. There were, these games between schools like soccer. It wasn't only soccer. It was athletics day for the West Circuit of Kwaku. So he seemingly saw me there 2 weeks before, and then he had this hatred for guys from Tseki High where I was studying, But as to why he managed to keep my face in his memory, such that when I came to Sekhutlong, he easily recognized me like that. And kind of like they were saying, they're going to stab us, specifically me, because we're taking their girlfriends in Sekhutlong. You see, the girls, Sekhutlong had very beautiful girls. The most beautiful girls, say of in all high schools of Kwakwa, so to put it. So there was this rivalry where the village guys felt undermined because the Sekhutlong girls may not have entertained perhaps their interest in them. So we therefore would be seen as rivals to the to their proposals to those ladies. So, but there had been many guys who go there. It was always like everybody went there, but this guy just had to have an issue with me. They those guys were going to stab us. It was during the day. So it means I would have died young, and not even being a Casanova, because I was not a Casanova. But yeah, as guys, sometimes it's just propose because it was just sort of like a game, isn't it? As youngsters. So your friends are proposing, you're proposing, and then we go out, we go to propose girls there, etc. Yeah, so that I was with my Tembisat, a friend Tabiso. So they wanted to stab me just for going to propose a girl. Funny enough, because on that day I had not even been given a beautiful girl to propose. You know what? It's Khotlong Bang Delela that day. But anyway, next time I went, I met a very beautiful girl, Palisa. Anyway, but those guys, I had to lie. And unfortunately, I had a backup because you see, I had just been to Tseki that year. So indeed, I had stayed in the villages of Kwakwa before. So when he said they hate Tseki High School boys and then we are arrogant, well, Tseki was a notorious school anyway. So they're gonna stab me. I told him, no, I'm not. I'm not a scholar at Tseki High. Hey, when I was born, man, hanne idi papadi hachati ma, jang, umpone and ke batho ke ba tlwaetseng Tseki nna ke tsamaya QCCE, so umpone ke qoqa le metswalle ya ka ya QCCE jwalo, understand. So nna ke kena sekolo le kgulo, so ke dula motseng Matebeleng jang. So you understand, so I knew everything about the kgulo, so he couldn't dispute because he realized that I'm talking things that make sense. So that's how I got saved. But they wanted to stab us. So I'm just narrating that short story. It doesn't conclude Basotho as a people. You can have a personal experience with a particular person and then conclude it over all the Basotho people. But I'm just making this just an example of a personal experience and the fact that our boarding schools were very rough and very dangerous in Basotho people's areas. But now, beyond that, then I noticed that the Free State was very dangerous. When we interacted, Kwakwa was much safer back then, but later it became dangerous beyond the period of homelands. When the ANC took over, Kwakwa became dangerous. So, but earlier in the days, it was quite safe in the villages of Kwakwa, honestly. So, but when you met Basotho from other places outside Kwakwa, they were quite rough. We used to go to Buhlokong, because our choir at Tseki High was sort of like our conductor stayed in Buhlokong, and therefore he had a choir, Buhlokong Choral. So therefore he was a conductor for both Bohlokong Choral and ourselves. So sometimes we'd go to Bethlehem to sing together with Bohlokong. Bruh, that township was very dangerous. That place was dangerous. Bohlokong, I don't know today, but that place was not safe. So many townships that we went to in the Free State were very dangerous. But these are not issues you would see on TV. On TV, you would be seeing KwaZulu-Natal this, KwaZulu-Natal that. But the Free State was very dangerous. I mean, I was visiting KwaZulu-Natal even then. I never saw KwaZulu-Natal being as dangerous as the townships of the Free State outside QwaQwa. QwaQwa was safe, but outside QwaQwa it was dangerous. Bohlokong. So, and the Basotho girls were very clever, very dangerous. So they would lure you, Lure, into danger. So, we were in this other tavern. What was that tavern? I mean, I'm talking about old stories from the 90s, guys. I'm an old man. I'm 51 years. So I'm just stating, I'm trying to show history of what I had always known, that hey, the Basotho people are quite rough. But it was not a convenient story in South African conversation, because the push or the agenda was always to make Zulus the wicked people, or the baddest people in this country. Which was not necessarily my experience, because when you went to KZN, I then even said, okay, maybe also depending on areas, because in the areas of rural KZN where I was visiting, it wasn't dangerous. So, but yes, then we also learned there are horrible areas of KZN like KwaMaphumulo, areas like that. Yeah, but apart from those, the other KZN was not bad if we exclude political violence. All right, political violence is what demonized or rather Zulu villages. But in the Free State, there was no political violence, so it was just the ordinary crime, and it was very dangerous. So when I got to see the stats, I'm like, it's not normal. It's not usual that they show stats which compare murder rates like in Lesotho. You hardly hear people speaking about Lesotho, but when I saw statistics which also included Lesotho, my mind said it makes sense, because I just knew Basotho to be quite rough. That I knew. So when they said Lesotho is that dangerous, I said, okay, that makes sense. All right. Judging from what I knew in the 90s, all right. I mean, townships of Bloemfontein were dangerous. So, but now, what causes Lesotho to be this dangerous now? Okay, first and foremost, what I'm kind of indicating is that Basotho have always had the rough edge. They're the friendliest people, trust me. But when it comes to be rough, they are rough. And okay, they've had issues with the Xhosa. I don't want to get absorbed or pulled into Xhosa Basotho wars. I don't know what the issues they are. I just know that they used to steal from each other. Cows, sheep, and likes, especially in those Matatiele areas. So I know there's animosities between Basotho and the Xhosa. So now this Xhosa guy is indicating to us that, hey, Basotho are terrorizing them in those areas. So that would be Xhosa areas, isn't it? Because the Cape would be a lot of Xhosa people. So, yeah, I believe that's exactly what is happening, because we also saw here in Soweto, isn't it? The Basotho, they massacred people there by those sharks I don't understand towards Orlando Towers. What happened to the case? As if nothing happened. We saw similar things happening in Randfontein and the likes. It's Basotho who are doing those massacres. We saw other townships, people in townships in the reef fleeing their homes because Basotho are dispossessing them of their properties. That's exactly what they can do. I know. So I've always known that they are very dangerous. They are rough, mountainous people. They're very friendly, but they can be very, very dangerous in no time. But one thing, just to finish off this video, what has made it even worse is the fact that a lot of Basotho are orphans, guys. They never told you how much Basotho got devastated by HIV/AIDS, and I wonder why. Because again, maybe because the worst people are supposed to be Zulus, as per the agenda of white DA colonialists. But a lot of people died in Lesotho of AIDS. So at this point in time, we're dealing with rough young men who grew up on the mountains scavenging for survival. Rough people who were not raised by parents because the parents died. People who need to survive because there's nothing they can do in Lesotho. And we are not even talking about the devastation of Basotho downstream from such Katse Dam projects which benefit from South Africa far more than such projects benefit Lesotho. South Africa is it's a country which exploits our neighbors. We are colonialists, so we destroy our neighboring countries for our white people's gain, because it's not for our black gain. So we have allowed that system of looting others to give comfort to Europeans to continue. So it's like in my area of Beville, where the water just goes past the Tugela River and then you pump it to Johannesburg, because Johannesburg people are more important than us. So in Lesotho is a similar situation. What happens to the farmers downstream? Who cares? So then there are crimes between the ANC, EFF, and Basotho, and therefore the blood diamonds. That's the other issue. Mokgotlong areas and them. It's a lot. So now they are exploited as a people, because remember also that the gold in the Free State was supposed to benefit Basotho. They got used as slaves and got really nothing out of it. That was during apartheid and colonialism. When we supposed to fix this for them in 1994? No. Instead, we got the ANC sellouts, all right? And they devastated us black South Africans. So if the ANC has devastated black South Africans to 64% poverty, the ANC working together with the DA in 1996 implemented a strategy to sabotage black South Africans to failure, justifying it as self-defense against reverse apartheid. Apparently, redress is called reverse apartheid. And they had their agents like Thabo Mbeki, Cyril Ramaphosa, and them. I guess so in essence, what we allowed to happen in South Africa in 1994, what do you think it did to Basotho in Lesotho? If we are this devastated as black South Africans, what do you think has happened to Basotho in Lesotho? It's worse. Remember, Lesotho's economy had been structured sort of by the English they trusted in to be dependent on South Africa's economy, which was not necessary. It was not necessary. It's just that they themselves trusted the English was too much in their frustration with the Afrikaner Dutch. Because if Singapore is this wealthy, if Monaco is that wealthy, if the Vatican City is that wealthy, these are tiny countries which are as good as Maseru, the city. If they are that rich, why is Lesotho not rich with so many diamonds? You see? It's because the economic system of South Africa, which is a colonial economic system to prioritize white Europeans, whether they are called DA if they stay in South Africa, but these are not settlers. Settlers are the Afrikaners. The other Europeans are Europeans. They're just staying in South Africa and looting Africa through South Africa. So they're looting Lesotho itself. Stroke now issues of Zamazamas. And then in Zamazamas, there's a lot of rivalries. So there are gangsters in the belly of our earth. And the other time there was that explosion in the city of Johannesburg. It was Basotho. So they come from a hard life, a very hard life. So they are